Hey world, 9 minutes motivation at 9 a.m. is inspired by me and sponsored by Happy World. Happy World keeps the world happy. The most amazing gifts if for your Diwali and New Year. I am Deepak here and my life is beautiful and I stay on top of the world because I work as worship. Mind and space has tremendous relationship, amazing relationship. I remember when people used to come to me for counseling, especially married couples, long time back. And they say we frequently fight in the house. We frequently have argument in the house, and it ends up very nasty at times. And then this is almost happens regularly. And after a lot of discussion, I realized that even if they have decided not to fight or argue that night, they still end up doing the entire thing. Then I told one day, why don't you change your not the house but the room, the bedroom? Because what happens when you are in the same space, or all the thoughts are there in the space. So it's basically like a radio. It tunes into the space where we are. So like how the music does not come from the radio, it comes through the radio. Like there are sound waves which a radio transistor carries picks up, and then we listen to the music. Like that, the same similar ways. That's how they have designed a transistor, depending on how the brain functions. So brain is like a transistor which picks up the thought waves which is there in the space. So all our thoughts are not in our brain inside. All our thoughts we carry in the space. So when you keep regularly having those argumentative thoughts or argumentative issues, fights and arguments, and it become nasty, all those thoughts are there. So moment you enter in the space, your brain, the transistor picks up those thoughts and you end up fighting. For example, when you go into a temple, because in temple all those thousands and lakhs of people on a daily basis come and only have thoughts of prayer, surrender, bhakti, shraddha. So all these things are there. The moment you enter into the place of worship, temples, church, or mosque, that space is filled with those beautiful, pure, divine thoughts. Your transistor called brain start receiving the whole thing, and that is how we feel very peaceful. So mind and space have tremendous connection. Whichever space you enter, you start thinking like that because that space is filled with those thoughts. May not be all the time yours. So many people. So when you go to a dirty place, the thoughts were dirty there, the acts were dirty there, and you pick it up and you start thinking like that. And that's the power of the space. It fills into the mind. So all our thoughts are in the space, like thought waves. So whatever thoughts are there, our transistor here, depending on the energy levels which we have, we start receiving it, and that's how we start thinking. Whenever I feel that too much of jamming up of thoughts happening in my head in the city area, because office home, and there is nothing else. And even if you go somewhere, people are there, and not everybody has all the time positive energies or positive thoughts. You keep on thinking. I move out of that clumsy zone. I move out of that all congested zone and move out myself just out of the city limits and come into the nature. A beautiful thing about nature is nature doesn't kindle thoughts. It's free of thought. This space where I'm right now is absolutely free of thoughts. This space has only nature, and nature only keep reviving positive, negative. It takes carbon dioxide, releases oxygen, it takes carbon dioxide, releases. So everything here is only freshness. So when you come in a space like this, and the bigger the space, the more the space filled with a lot of nature and no human beings around, this suddenly your brain, after a few minutes, as you move over city limits, thoughts keeps railing. Our thoughts are just left backside there in the city, and as you keep moving out, and all of you would have seen this. The moment you start crossing your city limits, you come outskirts, outside. You forget everything. You forget means it's temporary. Can be called as temporary amnesia, where you don't worry about anything because there are no thoughts, and you sit in a space like this, move in a space like this, absolutely green, absolute greenery, blue skies, beautiful sun rays on you, and mind is only now absorbing nothing. Mind is that brain is now the transistor is only getting tuned to nature, tuned to the open space, the vastness of the space, and the slowly all the thoughts of the city limits I have kept it back there. It just left by itself, and here I'm completely in this open space. And as I stay for more time here, and with this awareness and this consciousness that I am here to fill my mind with absolutely clean space, open space, wider space, vast space. Sometime within few minutes, I'll start absorbing the entire nature into me, start absorbing the entire vastness of the space into me, and my mind will expand. Or mind will be absolutely blank for hours together as long as I'm in the nature or in this open space. Again, when I plan to go back from here in the city limits, as I start moving into city limits on the highways and the roads and the traffic start coming, again all the thoughts that I have left in the morning, my mind, my brain will start receiving it again and again. And as I go back, I'm again filled with those thoughts. Space fills mind, and that mind which is filled with that now creates a space. So the reason where I keep coming regularly to the nature or I bring people into the nature, the idea is that mind that is jumbled up, congested, complicated, confused, everything is jammed up there. It has to be one by one released. It's not easy for everybody to just close their eyes and just go into trance wherever they are. For normal people, I think there's the best ways just once in a while move out of a space, come into a bigger space, open space where there are no here, because nature doesn't kindle thoughts. When you look at the tree and look at the nature, look at the grass, look at the ground, it doesn't kindle thoughts. It just keeps you neutral. And when that space which is there outside, I start absorbing it, my mind expands. And my mind expands. There's tremendous amount of space being created as long as I'm in the nature. So when I go back to my world, that space that as I built, created in the mind, which has no space in the morning when I came here, now has a lot of open space, a lot of bigger space, vast space. Now that starts manifesting in the outside world, and I fill in a lot of things from outside in that space, and that's how my life expands. That's how my life grows. It's in spiritual experience to come into the nature, let go of everything, absorb everything, create space for you. And the spiritual experience, when you go back in the world outside, actually gives a materialistic manifestation if your thoughts are directed towards that. Because you don't go back to the city to do meditation there. You go back to your house, you go back to your office, you go back to your world to express your potential. For that to happen, you need extra space in the mind, extra energy, and that's what you come. And that's why I come very often, regularly, and bring people in nature. So when they go back to the world, they actually start manifesting all those dreams, those aspirations, those ambitions, because now you have an open space with bigger energy, and that backs up your dream, and that becomes your reality. And that's how this whole science works. So, but what happens most of the time, we all come in the groups with a lot of noise which was there. We bring the noise along with us, 10, 20 of us, and if they are not trained on this, in fact, it doesn't help. It has to be completely silence. That's what is wandering monks. That is what wandering wonders, top of the world experience for me, and that's what it works because there is everybody trained to remain silent or to have same thoughts. With that belief that you'll keep expanding your mind and keep visiting the nature regularly, let's start this beautiful day. Here we go. So guys, go, get set, and grow.